There's one more area I want to cover, and we covered a lot of things in the shader tree of this previous video, so let me just add it in here. We're going to go up to Layout, and from the Meshes drop-down, we're going to select Human, and just add up the baby face, the hand. Actually, let's load up the hand. Let me delete this. The hand will actually work pretty well. And what I want to show you is some of the new shaders that are in here. So double-click the hand to add that. It's just the default content that comes with Modo. And let's jump over to Render, and Shift-A to fit that in. Let's just take a look at it. All right, so it's got some base material on it already, which is fine, but there's a new shader system in here. And let's open up the render, expand the hand, and go to the skin and select the base material. Well, this default color is okay, and we can put subsurface scattering on, but typically skin, marble, things like that have multiple layers of material, and I don't even know what you want to call it, but multiple layers of texture, more than what we can see just here with just this one diffuse color. So if you go to Add Layer, there's a Custom Materials section. And in here you have a hair material, a cell edges, and a skin material. Let's select that. And instantly you can see that it puts a nice skin shader on there. Let me just come around so it renders out pretty well. And it has some depth to it. And the reason is because you see an oil layer, an epidermis layer, upper dermal, lower dermal, and then a quality setting. So you have all these different levels of color that are all blending together, which is really what is going to give it pretty much the realism that we're after. Okay, now of course, depending on the lighting you set up, that will also play a role. So here's the epidermis. You can make it a little pink if you want. But then if you still come back into the base material, go to Material Trans, you can still put on some subsurface scattering too, so that if you have a light, let's say, let's make sure our light is on. Visibility, show lights, okay. And then we'll come here to Items, Directional Light. Let's just fit it to view. Select the item itself, and let's just rotate it. So if that light's kind of shining up with the subsurface and the skin material on, you're going to now even get more realism with that light kind of permeating through, you know, kind of the membranes in between the fingers where it gets thin, up in the tips of the fingers, all without doing too much work, which is really nice. Come over here to Render, put on some global illumination, and, you know, put an environment in, and you're good to go. All right, so that's the skin shader. All right, try that one out. Let's close this, and while I'm in here, let's open up another sphere. And if you go to Custom Materials and put a hair material on, doesn't look like much, right? Well, let's put some fur on. Base material, special, fur material. And now, where I had shown you how we can color that hair with gradients and everything else, well, now the hair material itself can give us that same kind of look without doing the gradient work. Well, why did you show us that? Well, because it's still important to know. All right, so let's just take this base color of the ball itself down. And the fur material, we can decrease the spacing to 4 millimeters. Hopefully not locking up our system again. There we go. And then with the hair material, it's very similar, where it's just layers, where you've got glints, secondary highlights, and so on. So suddenly, you know, our gray hair wants to be blonde, and you don't want to see the roots. Well, come over and change that one. Change that secondary. Let's do it red. The guy's kind of funky, and so on. And of course, you can play with the intensity and the shift of each one of these. And if you have longer hair and you're using the hair guides, put this on there, and you can really now put on a much nicer shading of hair. Other custom materials available are cell edges. And this is going to happen more on the render. So we're going to come back and talk about these in our render chapter, as well as the halftone material.